Dr. Ruben started in mechatronics, and he moved into microfluidics, and somewhere between a postdoc at 2 a.m. and a stack of unanswered research questions, he became a founder. My guest today, Dr. Ruben Lopez, is the founder and CEO of Nanofacile, a Montreal-based biotech building tools that let scientists formulate RNA-loaded nanoparticles faster, cheaper, and without needing specialized expertise. Before building anything, he ran more than 140 customer interviews. What he heard in those conversations shaped everything about how Nanofacile works today. We get into what RNA therapy formulation actually looks like right now, why the bottleneck is so costly, and how Nanofacile is opening up that process to more researchers worldwide. I'm Christopher Wilson. Welcome to Stories in Life Sciences. Let's get into it.
This is Stories in Life Sciences brought to you by MedAxis AI, where we explore how ideas move from discovery to real-world impact.
Welcome to Stories in Life Sciences, Ruben. I'm really excited to dig into this a little further. I know we've spoke a few times, but now I get to get a little deeper into the science and your journey and get caught up on where things are at with Nanofacile. So where are you calling in from today, Ruben?
I'm from Montreal.
Okay.
So we're based in Montreal. So thank you very much for the invitation, Christopher, and for having us here.
Yeah, and I know we just discussed, but I feel like important place to start is just kind of your journey and what took you into the world of biotech, because I don't, that's not where you started, and I feel like that's an interesting part of the arc and the creation of this company. So just tell us a little bit about where you got started and how that led to where you're at now.
Originally, I was born in Mexico, so I studied there mechatronics and mechatronic engineering. So it's basically the combination between mechanics, electronics, control, and software engineering to solve problems in general. Later on, I did my master's in electronics that basically ended up being mostly in microfluidics. That is something that is very important for the technology that we have developed at Nanofacile. I got my first job with the company in Mexico City. I was working with the CEO of the company, so that gave me a lot of insights about how a company grows and goes from having a few cells to actually grow very fast. And then I worked as an engineering consultant for around 3 years. And then I decided that I wanted to continue my Ph.D. studies. And I came to Montreal in 2016 with the dream of using, at the time they were more focused on research in these tiny capsules called liposomes that are in a nanometric scale. In order to improve patients' lives and in order to get the drugs and the therapies to the right place inside the human body. And that's what brought me to Canada. That was in 2016. I completed my PhD, and then I had the opportunity to work in a lab that was very nice because I got the opportunity to use engineering in biology problems. So in there we studied how some natural occurring nanoparticles called extracellular vesicles have a major role in cancer metastasis and how they drive cancer metastasis and also the organotropism. Those particles or extracellular vesicles tend to get to specific organs. So that was a very interesting problem to try to understand. As my role as an engineer, we did reverse engineering of those extracellular vesicles with the hope of finding key elements that allow us to create better therapeutics in the future. So that was very interesting. It was more like my background is in engineering, but I would say that I'm a converted biologist, and I love that field, and I think it has a lot of opportunity to learn. And at the end of my postdoc, I saw also that there were some challenges about and regarding how we can produce next generation therapies based on these nanoparticles or in these synthetic versions of extracellular vesicles, if you want. And it's with a group of people, we joined forces and we said, well, there are better ways of creating those next generation therapies based on these nanoparticles that encapsulate targeted therapies. And that's how Nanofacile was born like a few years ago. Yeah, it was in 2023 when it was officially created.
You're moving fast, 2023 to now, where you've come. Can you talk a little more about the problem now? Like, what are these companies doing now when they need to test these therapies? And what did you see as the opportunity to do that from what I see as a much better, more streamlined, more efficient way.
Nowadays, 2020, after the pandemic, RNA therapies were propelled by the success of COVID vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
But now we can use them for much more against cancer, metabolic diseases, and in gene therapies. There is a huge opportunity out there. There are 130 assets right now, a little bit more in the pipeline today. And it is expected that this is going to grow massively by 2030, that when we are going to have 1,800. Like in 4 years, we're going to have a massive growth. And those therapies need to be developed, and they have a lot of hope. The thing with RNA therapies and also other targeted therapies, that you need to protect them and to guide them to the right place inside the human body. Because, like, for example, RNA is a molecule that degrades very rapidly and needs to be protected. And on the other hand, also you want to deliver that cargo to the right place in the human body to reduce side effects or other type of problems related with off-target issues. However, to create this formulation that is basically a fat layer around the cargo, it requires thousands of trials and error. That's quite complicated. And nowadays, the processes that are used or using equipment plus consumables are very expensive, or using automation that also it's a little bit complicated. The premise of Nanofacile, that is using nano and doing it easy, if you want, is what if I told you, like with devices like this one that can be used in any centrifuge, you could do those thousands of trials and errors. And also, one of the big problems is that you need the expertise, that you could have an expert by your side 24/7. And that's how Nanofacile was created. And we created something that we call the Symphony kit, that includes devices like these ones that are flow-through consumable devices that can be used in any wet lab with a centrifuge. You just put it in a Falcon tube, you close it, you spin them, and you get the nanoparticles on the other side. So it's extremely easy. We have also created our own proven formulations that increases the success rate and also helps to get to the right formulation faster. And finally, AI formulation companion that is data driven, that allows to reduce the number of iterations that you are creating. So that's what we have been building at Nanofacile, and that's what we think will allow to accelerate the creation of next generation therapies out there and in benefit for patients. Yeah.
Wow, I feel like that's like mic drop right there. That's because I feel like you're solving multiple pieces of this issue. So now you have to outsource this. So somebody, if they're creating a therapy, they're going to need to send this, which the cost from what I see is extremely high. So that can be what, $40,000, $50,000, like for someone to send this to outsource to get it tested, to the equipment that's required now in order to do it. So you're allowing people to do that in-house at a much faster rate of speed, both those things. All right. I mean, and then allow them to do iterations, which they right now they have to send it out and then wait in order to get it back and do an iteration. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Christopher, because nowadays the options are, or either you hire an external team that will create a panel of formulations for you, and that might come back and forth like 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to get one formulation. You try it, then you come back, say it by tweak it a little bit. So if we are thinking that we need to do those iterations fast, that's extremely slow. The other option is you buy these very expensive equipment plus consumables just to get the first nanoparticle to be produced, that it costs thousands of dollars, and plus you need the expertise of someone who knows how to formulate. But at Nanofacile, we said, well, what if we can remove the complexity of the expertise, and also what if we can simplify the way that you produce those iterations, so teams that are used to use these biological kits can do it actually in-house and get results much faster.
This is coming from a non-scientist. It's every different type of like mRNA therapy require a different delivery system in order for that payload to reach the cell. Like each of these require a different type of formulation.
It requires like a fine tuning of that formulation. There are known some formulations that, well, for example, for the vaccines that mostly, like let's say, they are not targeted. They are wherever they are injected, there is where they stay, and then they produce the immune reaction. But if you really want to target a specific organ, or you change the length of the RNA that changes the final, let's say, if more efficient formulation for that specific cargo. So it depends a lot of the cargo. So if the RNA, it might be a little bit longer or shorter, whether you want to target, let's say, kidneys or lung or bone marrow, then that formulation needs to be fine-tuned in order to be delivered to the right place. So it's like a multidimensional problem in which you have a bunch of parameters when you produce them, and then those parameters have an effect at the end in terms of uptake efficiency, how specific those nanoparticles are to specific to get to specific organs. There's like a multi-variable problem that needs to be solved, and I think is where having the capacity to have like a shotgun, but at the same time like a sniper, is where our technology it's very valuable.
Because you allow that shotgun approach because of the cost-effective nature of it, to be able to like test a lot of variables really quickly, cost-effectively.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that even if you know more or less, like if you see it like an experimental space, you know where to shot, but still you need to find what is the optimal formulation. That's where a system that allows you to formulate very rapidly and to test different formulations under the same conditions in a reproducible way allows you to actually get what is the optimal formulation. And also, obviously, if you have a system that learns from each iteration that you're doing and can guide you where the optimal point is where I think we could add a lot of value to customers that are trying to be much more cost effective. And also, like more than that, is how efficient you can be with the resources that you have to get to the point in which you have a formulation that actually works.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
I read that you did a lot of research like prior to starting the company. Like this says that you did 140 different interviews out there, like in the space. I feel like that's maybe part of, you can speak to this, but your engineering background, like not coming from the biology, doing the looking and solving the problem and doing all the interviews. And what did you learn from that? And what led you to then create the solution that you have now? Or is that true, I guess, what I read? Did you do 140 interviews?
I think maybe now more, but while I was doing my postdoctoral fellowship, I got the opportunity to be in this program here in Canada that is called Lab to Market. That is basically allows researchers to go out of the lab and forget about whatever they're creating, but think about what are the problems that are out there.
Yeah.
So I got this great opportunity, like was maybe 1 month and a half, to go there and talk with the people, the biotech companies, the CEOs of those biotech companies, the people who are doing the research. And that journey took me to Basel in Switzerland, where a lot of pharma industry was born in, and that is very strong there. And I had the opportunity also to talk with people from different pharma companies and also biotechs and also CROs. And something that keep appearing in those interviews is that I think a lot of people had great ideas, like hundreds of great ideas that could help a lot of people, but they were very hesitant because it took a long time to develop one of them, one idea. And also because it was very resource consuming, even just getting from the first preclinical studies in which you need to generate those formulations. It's not that they were scared about starting, but it's a big barrier. Yeah. So for me, while I was listening to them, is how we can lower those barriers, how we can make easy for people to produce their first nanoparticle. They shouldn't be needing to break the bank just to test very rapidly if their formulation or their ideas also work. Also, I talk with a lot of researchers. They have this profound knowledge of how the diseases work, but then you need to, how you pair it with how you create those formulations. So there is like a kind of a separation in between knowing the disease, understanding what could be the potential markers, and how to add that knowledge into the formulation. So how we break that barrier in between this huge amount of knowledge of people who have been very passionate for years about a certain disease, and how they can use the tools that were opened up by the RNA therapies and these LNP so they can have action, and they can take action and they can produce their therapies faster. So I saw that. I saw a lot of passion of a lot of people out there, but also I saw those barriers, and I said, well, how we can break those barriers, because this is a technology that is promising, that I think that the technology can help a lot of people, and there are people who know a lot about diseases and they're very passionate about it, but how we can allow them to get access to that technology faster, because sometimes it feels like the number of experts in that technology is like not that much, like in any type of technology, like this, maybe like in the 70s or 60s, when they have a few people that were experts in electronics and they used the computers, but they were not for everyone. So how you can open that to more people, and I think that's the key aspect of why Nanofacile was born, because also that could help in the future for each region to prioritize what diseases they actually try to go after, and to reduce barriers so more people all over the world can join this very exciting field of targeted encapsulated therapies.
Yeah, I feel like that's what can happen when you have people from different lenses looking at problems. And it sounds like that program that you were in, it reminds me a little biodesign program. Like they put a commercial person with an engineer with a clinical person, and then bring all those together. You can really solve problems differently than maybe people were thinking about. So it sounds like that program that you were in allowed you to go out into the field with your engineering and look at those problems and see, and then come to the solution that you have.
Yeah, and that's I think that was a great opportunity, and more for I think for a scientific perspective, you're always in the lab. I think when I realized that I wanted to go for entrepreneurship, I was in the lab running some samples. It was like 2 a.m. And then I said, how long is it going to take for whatever I'm doing now to actually reach a patient? And then when the answer was, well, maybe it's 5 years, 10 years, or I'm going to be publishing, and then maybe one day someone will pick up something and put it together. I said that this is too long. I think I'm a person that I'm very patient, but at the same time, I would like to see the science actually doing something good for the people out there. That I think for long we have been. There are a lot of people working very hard and everything, and in science and in creating those therapies. And I wanted to help to accelerate that process. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. No, I did the same when, and I respect people who put a lot of their energy and time and can do that. Working in med device, when I saw PMA pathway, I'm going, I don't know if I can sign up for 10 years of working on something that may or may not get out to the market. So, yeah, helping those people accelerate the path to market and coming out with ways that we don't have to. It doesn't have to be so costly, like you said. For these people with these amazing ideas, that's what got me excited. I feel like when the first time I talked to you, is I can see that in you. Is like you really, your goal here is to help get more of these ideas out there into the world, and not make it so the barrier such a cost prohibitive, and the length of time it takes. Because there's a lot of great therapies. I mean, you mentioned the numbers, and there's more coming, and I want to see more of them be able to get out there and actually solve problems in people and humans. So that's the goal, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what did you learn? You mentioned I'm going back now. When you said you worked with that CEO of Mexico City, which I love that city, by the way. You reminded me that I want to go back there soon. It's an amazing place. What did you learn from being under him about business? You said, you worked with him and you saw a company go from small to large, and being in your company now, just some lessons, or maybe what you learned. Because I feel like a lot of people that come from, academia or that background don't have some of the business, but it sounds like you've been able to get some that business, experience along the way as well. And what did you learn from him or that experience?
Things that I learned is that to be comfortable and to work with uncertainty. So like, I think it's also related with science in a way, because you have hypotheses, and there is like certain aspects of the business that you don't know if it is going to work or not going to work. As you have unknowns for science, you also have unknowns for the business part. Like, I don't know, what would be the right price? Would I be able to assemble a team that can solve this problem? It's a problem that is solvable, that you can actually solve. There are several aspects that are difficult to predict, And I remember a lot that CEO shared with me was that everything is about people. That's the most important part of every company, every human endeavor is people. So focus on that, focus on people who would like to do things differently, people who are passionate about what they are doing, people who are good at working with others. And that's the key of everything. I mean, you can start from a technology. It might be working more or less if you want, but if you have a great team, that team is going to push it to the next level. And I think that's something that I learned from from him. Yeah.
How did you look at building a team? Because I feel like I see a lot of that. People have great ideas from a science perspective, and then they go to solve that problem, and maybe they don't have experience with building out a team. And you're doing that, have done that, and just how did you go about that process for finding people that you said fit that mold? Like, what's that been like for you?
Oh, well, that is, I think by itself, it has been an adventure itself, because I remember the first, there are coincidences in life and how people come and everything. Like, for example, the first person that joined the team, we were working in separate labs. And I remember at the time I was very proud about something that I did. Like, I did some 3D printed microfluidic device. And then we were in a meeting with this other laboratory, and then this guy comes and then shows the same device that I did, that I was proud, that I thought I was the only one who did it, and he did it even better. And then I was like, whoa, I want to work with that person. He's
Yeah.
very creative. Yeah. And he's the product lead. He's very creative at solving problems. And then they said, well, I want to work with him. And then just naturally, we found the opportunity to work together. It's like the team has grown organically and based on the needs. Facil, we have had the great opportunity to work with a lot of people. We have multiple members that have supported us, like an advisory role, or even as interns and everything, that later, as the company has grown, they have found their place in the company and growing with us, which is great. It's like I think it's something that I always share with all of them when they come in contact with us, is that companies grow, companies appear and disappear and everything, but the most important part is that relationships that you get when you're working with people that you love to work with. And that's something that has resonated even in my short career, that I have contacted people that later joined, or I was interviewed by them and then I interviewed them. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a constant flow of people excited about doing things. And I think once you actually work with that people, you get excited, and then you want to do more things with them, because you know that you get to build something. The thing that they say about that it requires a village to create something, like to create like a company, that's absolutely true.
The beginning part of it, you said, so if you're in science, so pick someone who builds something better than you right next to you and have them work with you. Well, and then some of it's, I feel like it's simple, but it's not. It's just, it sounds like, treating people really well and bringing people in over time. It sounds like I had another person on a podcast a while ago from Montreal in kind of in that ecosystem there. And do you want to speak a little bit more to that? Because I feel like that's really important, is not doing this alone. And I feel like depending on where you're at and finding some sort of an incubator, it might not be the same as in Montreal. We have a couple here in Portland, but just talk a little bit more about that and how that's helped you.
Oh yeah, well, here in Montreal, I think it has been a ecosystem that has been growing very fast, I would say, in the last years. And we, as company, we were very lucky at having access to it. We were part of the first investor, and was V1 Studio. They invested in us. They provided with lab space together with District 3, that is another incubator here in Montreal. Well, they have multiple streams, but the stream in which we are is the bio stream, Biotech stream. There is a team that supports all that. And without having a laboratory, for us, would it be possible to, build something? And that's, I think that's a great opportunity that we had there. And then from the engineering part, because also that's very important for us, it's like an hybrid between engineering and biology. We had also the support of another incubator that's called Centec. And Centec is a very well-known incubator here in Montreal. They support multiple entrepreneurs. there's where we got also the access to advisors. He's an former executive in pharma that allows to understand how to engage with pharma companies. I was a postdoctoral fellow at McGill, so we were part of the McGill Entrepreneurship Center there.
Yeah. And you'd mentioned getting some experience early on with already speaking to people that are involved in big pharma, and just how is that? I mean, and I guess getting more into back to Nanofacile, like how are you targeting like out of the gates, or where are you at now in terms of, I know obviously long term this could be a technology that could be used by small companies, large companies, but what have you learned from that engagement with large pharma, and then just kind of where you're at in terms of with the technology now, and who are you targeting?
Yeah, that's a great question. And also just to continue with the ecosystem that is supporting us, later we went to the Merck Digital Science Studio program that it's as part of Merck, and that allows to get also access and the CQDM, that is a consortium de médicaments du Québec, that they have supported us with investments that allows to move our technology further. And that is very important because we started with the incubators, then we went to incubators that are a little bit more focused on like Merck Digital Science Studio in connecting startup companies with pharma, as well as the CQDM that they have a consortium of different pharma companies looking for new technologies. So that's part of our evolution. And that was crucial. And then like I would say, the third part of the evolution that it's all mixed together is that we are part of a MILA. MILA is the AI center in Montreal, and NextAI. So there are two institutions where, a lot of the AI was created here in Canada and a lot happened here in Montreal. So we are very lucky of being part of this program that allows to get some expertise from them and move this even further. So it's really like I would say the best of the best in Canada and in Montreal all together to push that technology that we are developing, that from one side is biology engineering and from the other side also has a software component like that we're developing now, and that give us to the next step, in which like we onboarded like very recently Archita Luri, that she's a computational chemist, that she brought a lot of experience and she's now part of the team. So, it's has been like this evolution in which we started as a company that was focused on hardware that allows this rapid screening to a company that is creating tools that solve the problem of how we can produce those formulations faster. So it has been quite of a evolution, and also us, we have been very grateful for all the support that we have received from different organizations as Merck Digital Science Studio, CQDM, and MILA and NextAI.
Yeah, I guess I'll say to you though too, I feel like that's where I see a lot of founders struggle, is they don't go and look for that and receive that help and that opportunity. So the ecosystem's there. I feel like finding it's one thing, but it seems like you're very willing to ask questions. Even the first time I talked to you, very willing to ask questions, look for support and advice from others. Like you're not just focused in your lane here and doing it. And it seems like from that and being in that ecosystem, you've allowed to really accelerate, where you're at now and the company. And on that, I guess brings us back to that question before, from all that and where you're at right now, where is the company at in terms of, I know you're getting close to commercialization. That's where I start to get excited too, because I'm a commercial guy. So I'm like, ooh, it's getting close there. So where are things at now?
Well, that's very exciting, and also I think it's a good opportunity to mention the support that we have from the National Research Council of Canada. Supports that type of research in order to create new technology that brings prosperity to the country, but at the same time that we can create technology that also can have a profound impact, not just in Canada, but all over the world.
Wow.
And we have had their support, and we have in the last 6 months gearing towards commercialization. So we have been working on, like once you have an MVP that is working and everything, you need to test it in field, go with potential customers, get their feedback, get back and do some changes. So this is what we have been doing in the past months, together with what is the regulatory path, what we need to have in our boxes, what our legends need to be added, protecting the intellectual property, all these previous steps, and we have got the support in different ways, connecting us with the regulatory agencies, with the people who know about it. Because right now at Nanofacile, we're in a very exciting point in which we are providing with we call first access to the people out there. So I will invite the public and the people listening to this podcast to go to our website or our LinkedIn. And we are launching very soon our first access program in which people out there who are developing technologies will have early access to our technology, and they were going to be able to experience it and also to get a first look into what we're working on and maybe shape what is going to be the future of that technology. So that's also very exciting for the people who are joining this program, because that's going to allow them to have the first peek into what we're doing, to have access for the first time to our technology, and also with their support and feedback, get to shape what the future of encapsulated targeted therapy formulation will be. So that's quite exciting. Yeah.
That is exciting. And you can get that out there now and get some feedback along the way. So on that note, I'm curious, what has surprised you in terms of where you started and what you thought like the technology was going to be and where you're at, and then how it's evolved to now? Like anything along the way that is part of it now that you didn't expect?
There are a lot of things, because when you just have an idea, you think that, well, I'm going to create that, and after I create that, that's it. No, I just need to find a nice package and I will ship to customers.
Yeah, done.
That's it. But no, that's that's not the reality. There are a lot of work to be done, and probably getting the thing to work is just the 10% of all the work to be done. It's also getting investors, because once you get the technology working, is like, well, now how I can produce 1,000 units, 1 million units of it, how I can get those customers to try the technology for the first time, how I make a package that is according to the regulatory, it's
the fun stuff.
The fun stuff. So it's a lot of work that I think at the beginning we might think that is obvious on a side, but then it becomes something that you get to appreciate a lot, because you understand that any product that is in the market, or like in general, it had a lot of people working in the small details of each thing that is out there. And that's for, let's say, consumer products. But if you think about biotech or medtech, that has an increased layer of complexity, because you want to be sure that what you are creating is going actually to help people, and it's going to help that people in a safe way that actually, increase the quality of life or something. So it's a level of complexity that might not be appreciated at the beginning. And once you are already there, you're just like, well, all this, but you need to learn it. And I think it's a very rewarding experience to go through it, because I always think if at the end it's a patient that is going to receive a medicine that is going to improve their way of life, that is going to give them more time with their family and friends, or is going to increase their quality of life, then whatever we are doing and whatever intensity we are doing it and whatever work we are putting on it, it worth the effort. So
yeah, it's worth it. Yeah,
it's worth it. Yeah.
It's worth it. Yeah, that's such a key point. It makes me think back when I started in med tech, being a sales rep, and of course I was young in my 20s, and I didn't know what went into it. What it takes to actually get that out there in your hands, to get that into a patient. Just the process in biotech and medtech, it's a long road. It definitely makes you appreciate it, being able to get behind the scenes and just the pathway in order to get it out there. So I commend you for just sticking with that. And I feel like what's behind that, what keeps you going, it seems like is the patient. In the end, it's to get more of these therapies out there in the market. I feel like I felt that when I first talked to you. I feel like your goal is to really accelerate the pathway of some of these new medicines. Like this is a new delivery vehicle, so these people with these great ideas can get more of these medicines out there to people.
That's something that's very interesting. And also I think I appreciate a lot also, like from the people who are collaborating with Nanofacile, like the employees and everything, is that there are also some sacrifices done by themselves. There is like, supporting that mission is very important, because I think that like a good circle in life is waking up very excited about what you are going to build, because it's exciting what you're doing, but also wanted to come back home because you have this exciting of being with with the people that you love, your friends, your family, your significant other. So I think that's something that it's very important for me, and also I think I see it for the team of Nanofacile, that having this complete circle like that.
Yeah, it's so important. It's actually funny you said that. The first person I had on the podcast, and she mentioned that. She just said the support of your family along this journey, because there's a lot easier things you could do in this life than build what you're building. there's some easier jobs out there, some easier problems to solve. I feel like that wouldn't take as much, but really, yeah, if you believe in something that much, and having the support of your family at home and friends and people that you work with is so important. So I'm glad that you just mentioned that as well, because yeah, it's important to be excited to go to the office and then be excited to come home from from the
Yeah,
office. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
both
to
those
have that
things.
environment. Yeah,
Yeah, and have the people at home be supporting you in what you're doing and believe in what you're doing, and everybody that comes in feel that too. That helps you get through that, get that product out there into the world, because it's not easy. So, well, I'm really excited to see this out there, Ruben, and see people start to be able to accelerate their path to creating these therapies to get out there in the market. And I guess anything else that you want to say? I mean, I know you're going to be at a conference here shortly in June, and I feel like that's probably going to be a big one for you. Anything else that you want to just say about the company or where you're at, or anything else to put out there?
yeah. Well, I would say that first of all, thank you, Christopher, for the invitation. I would like to encourage the people to join the field of RNA therapies, and to make a world where everyone can be healthier a reality. We are launching our first access program in a few weeks, so I would like you to go there, try to inform about yourself how that could be helpful for your research. And if you're looking for a way to be more efficient in your research, and to actually get those therapies out there faster for you and for your team, for the patients, I would like to encourage you to contact us through LinkedIn, through our social media, or also directly to me. And my information is out there, because we're looking for this first cohort of people who want to really change how RNA therapies are made, and we're there to helping them. And this first access program, I think, is a great opportunity for them to start experiencing a new way of creating these next generation therapies. And yeah, that's pretty much about what I want to say. That if you really want to change the course of how therapies are created and how fast they can be created, join us, and we can talk and have a good conversation about it. And whenever also, if you are interested in knowing more about Nanofacile and you are stopping by Montreal, I would like to invite also the public to join us, and we're happy to have a chat and share what we are doing, and also, like, all the team to come and see around. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the more I talk to different people in different parts of the world, and have visited some incubators here, seen some incubators down in the Bay, and talked to some in Europe. I feel like it's good for people to go see these different incubators to kind of see what's going on, what people are doing. I feel like that's grown so much over the past, I don't know, decade, just in biotech and medtech, these incubator hubs and what's being created there. And they really need those collective resources to solve these really hard problems, like not just on your own. Because you've spoken to, it just really accelerated your path to be able to be in that kind of ecosystem. So I think we could learn so much from each other of what different ones are doing out there. It's fun. It's exciting to see, like, oh, whoa, you guys are doing this here. I could take this back here, and how it can be helpful. And just, we have the incubators, but I'm thinking about something where that could be cross collaboration. It's fun to see what people are building and creating. So yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And look forward to staying in touch.
Well, same here, Christopher. Thank you for the invitation, and it was a pleasure to be here.
Right.
And as I always say, join us to harness the power of RNA therapies to make a world where everyone could be healthier a reality. Yeah.
I like it. You got the tech. And the last thing I'll say, because people didn't know this, Spanish, fácil is easy, everybody.
Yeah, fácil is easy, and also in French is easy. So yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first thing I know. It's okay. Nanofacile in French too. Oh, that's like too perfect, man. You come from Mexico. Facile is the same in Montreal in French. That's meant to be. There's no way this company is not going to be taken off. Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you, Christopher.
You've been listening to Stories in Life Sciences, sponsored by MedAccess AI, where we explore people, ideas, and breakthroughs shaping the future of biotech and healthcare innovation. To learn more, visit medaccessai.org and subscribe on YouTube to watch the full conversations and new episodes as they launch. I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep shaping the future one story at a time.